Okay, now you can see I've actually put quite a few of the numbers on here. I haven't put them all on there. I've just left the last one, the 11, to go on, because I did want to explain a couple of things to you. The glue on the back of the numbers tends to stick reasonably quickly. If you get it in the wrong place and you have to peel it off or move it, it doesn't tend to stick as well the second time. Now, you can put a little bit of hot glue on there and stick it back down and it should hold okay, but it's better if you do it right the first time. A couple of things to get it right the first time. When you peel it off, okay, and you cut the little dagger bit off the end of it, get yourself a pair of long nose pliers and use that to position it in the right spot the first time, okay, because it is pretty tricky with your fingers. If you use the long nose pliers, you can just get it down like that and press it right down in the right spot the first time. Okay, as I say, the biggest mistake people make in doing this is getting them in the wrong spot and then trying to move them around, and then they don't stick, and then they fall off, and then they get lost, and then they come and hassle Mr. Ludinik for another one. And this one is being a bit difficult for me.
Because you put it in the wrong position probably.
Yep, thanks for that, Audrey. Okay, and press it down. And that is my numbers. Can you see that from there, Audrey?
Yes, I
can. Now what we have to do is we have to put our hands on there. And the first hand that goes on there is the hour hand, which isn't this one. The hour hand is the shortest one of the lot. I always think it's easier if you put them both up towards the 12, that way you can get them lined up. It doesn't really matter. Oh, also the hands do have a little plastic film on them. Might be a bit hard to see on the camera, but you might just want to take that off before you put your hands on. If they're a little bit bent, make sure they're flat. And we put that on there, and all we do is we just push that down into place. Now sometimes it doesn't get pushed down so easy, so I've got a little trick that I do. See that pen there? What I've done is I've taken the middle out of the pen and I use that to push the hand down firmly into place, like such. Make sure when you're doing that you rest your other hand underneath that. If I push too hard on that, I'll actually snap that piece of wood across there, so make sure your hand's underneath it. When you push it down, that is as far as it needs to go. Be careful with this, okay? You can get it wrong and you can muck it up. Okay, so you don't need to push it down too far, just until it bottoms out there. Get your minute hand, same thing. If it's a little bit bent, just gently straighten it out. Put it in place. And again we use our pen. Push that down into position. And that's that. Make sure they're not hitting each other. That's why we put them on top of each other like this, so we make sure they're not going to hit each other. Last but not least is our second hand. Now our second hand is probably a little bit longer than it needs to be, so what I do is I actually snip a little bit off it. I snip about 1/4 off it. So look at your length, go about halfway and then halfway again, and just with a pair of scissors snip it off. But if you snip 1/4 off that end, you need to snip 1/4 off this end as well to balance the weight out, okay? Because that weight there, that length there actually balances that weight as the thing spins around. So we need to snip about 1/4 off that as well, and that should work just fine. That sits in there really quite easily. That is our Ned Kelly clock, okay? If we want to adjust the time, there is a little dial inside the clock mechanism that we can spin around. I can't see it at the moment.
And I don't know
there
the time.
It is. Okay, we spin that mechanism around, and get yourself a battery and just fit the battery in there. By the way, batteries are not included, you do have to get your own. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our Caliclock project. That doesn't look too bad, but I'm sure that most of yours will look a lot more interesting, because I'm seeing some of the work that's going on in the classroom, and they are going to be far interesting than my boring old Caliclock. Thank you very much for your attention.